and welcome. I'm Charmain Berry, and this is Charmain Berry Morning Telly, live streaming through NIATV. And we've got a really special show today because I'm joining you with my guest, Janey Riley, live from the Pyrenees in Spain. So, welcome to everybody. Sorry if anybody's watching live about the technical issues we've had this morning. We're running late today. I'm really sorry about that. But we're on track now and really ready to go and looking forward to today's show. So today is Saturday, the 11th of July. This is our 12th show. I can't believe how quickly it's gone. And this is going to be lovely. We're in our apartment here in the Pyrenees. We're in a little village called Aran in the region of Aragon, and it's absolutely beautiful around here. We've been on the road in the Pyrenees for the last 5 days or so, and it's stunning. It's beautiful, and it's a really interesting time to be in Spain. It's interesting to be here and contrast that to what's happening on the news. There's no tourists here. It's really beautiful. It's really relaxed. And although there is a requirement that we wear masks all the time, that seems pretty relaxed when we're outside the cafes and stuff. It's a really wonderful time. Weather is beautiful. So on the lineup today, I have with me, we've been traveling together, Janey Riley. And Janey is the founder of the Nia Centre and NiaMOS and NIATV. And she's actually going to be cooking some pancakes for us as well. She's in the kitchen right now. In our musical section today, we have a wonderful guy called Rik Warren, and folk, electronica, experimental, just amazing musician. He's joining us in a little while. And we have our regular feature from Kristina Batty. She's going to be giving us the Mayan calendar report as usual, which looks really interesting for the next wave spell that we're going into. And also we've got Bex from Cultured Kitchen, who's going to be showing us how to make a pad thai sauce. Pad thai sauce would be really lovely. Mindful Kitchen. So hi to Cultured Kitchen too. So Janey's in the kitchen now. We're going to go over and join her there. We've been making pancakes. She's going to make our breakfast here. We're having a nice, beautiful breakfast. Here we go. Welcome, hi. Janey. Good to have you here. It's so amazing to have you as a guest. Voila. Janey is usually in the production team as well when we're doing the show on the other side of things. So this is absolutely brilliant. Just want to say a big thank you, Janey, for doing this.
Oh, thank you.
It's really lovely. And this is the first time I've done the show and actually had the guest with me in real life. So this is
we've got 2 meters apart.
We have social distancing. Okay. So Janey, you're going to make us pancake and talk us through that. Yeah, I love pancakes. And yeah, how do you do it? What happens?
So I thought we'd make us some Breton pancakes. So we're in the Pyrenees. We struggled to find flour yesterday. We had to steal some from the local pizza area.
But we did buy it, but yeah.
Yeah. And so pancakes, they're dead easy. I've got some tips because I think most people know how to make pancakes.
Because it can go like complicated. It can get a bit like when I tried making it, and it can get a bit lumpy and stuff. Like making that mix can be quite hard.
Yeah. So my little tips are: use a stick blender.
Okay.
If you use a stick blender pot, then you can pour it because it's got a spout, so you can pour it straight in. So yeah, stick blend mixture. It's flour, eggs, a little bit of salt. Some people don't put salt in, but salt's really good because like it just gives that kind of sharpness in contrast to the sugar when you put sweet things on the pancake.
Okay.
So yeah, eggs, flour, salt. I use the soy milk, and unfortunately, because I use soy milk here in Spain, it's got loads of vanilla extract in it.
Oh.
So our pancakes are really yellow.
Oh.
But you can use normal soy or you can use normal milk. And you literally, some people use coconut milk as well.
Okay, that would be
nice if you like different type of pancake.
Yeah.
And I basically just whisked it in.
So what did you put in there? That was the soya and the egg.
Yeah, soya, egg, flour.
Yeah.
Mixture's consistency.
Okay.
It's roughly about 100 grams of flour.
Yeah.
Double in liquid, and pinch of salt and 1 egg.
Right.
That's the rough mixture. But obviously, people like pancakes thicker.
Okay.
Some people like crepes really thin. We're having.
Right.
Other people like scotch where they're really thick. And you can also use, which is my favourite, is buckwheat flour. So if you're going to have traditional Breton pancakes, they'll be made with buckwheat flour.
Is that gluten free?
It's gluten free. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay.
Yeah. Whisk it together.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I made this last night. So if you like really bubbly pancakes, then make the mixture the night before and put it in the fridge.
Right, okay.
It's also really quick that way if you're making them in the morning, you haven't got much time, you fancy having pancakes.
Okay.
And then the pan, you have to get a hot pan for pancakes. And then this is where my mum, little tip, is putting the butter, using the butter packaging, and cutting a little bit off, and going around the pan with that.
Oh wow, okay.
So you don't end up having to pour oil in and have too much, and then take it back out again.
Right, okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And you can use butter. Butter is brilliant for pancakes, but obviously you can also use oil.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Or vegan butter maybe, could be another option.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to pour in and make our last pancake.
Fantastic. I'll
And
see you
then-
at the table.
Yeah.
Thanks, Janey. That's great. And while she's doing that, I'm just going to give you guys a little taste of the Pyrenees here. This is the view out of our window here, and you're going to get glared. I'm going to turn this around. You can see we've got some locals out on the little. Just see the Pyrenees over there in the distance. This is the view off our balcony. It's a really, really old village that we're staying in. And it's really beautiful. It's really peaceful. And we've had, as I said, a really wonderful time. Just driving around, all the roads have been really, really quiet. And all the people have been sort of really sweet as well. And we've come to have a look at some properties as well and just see what's happening there, with a dream to set up a retreat centre over here in the Pyrenees to offer workshops and just well-being activities and retreats for people. So that's what we've had our sort of focus on here. Tonight we're driving over to France. We're going north to be in the Pyrenees over in France, which is my favorite country in the whole wide world. So we're really looking forward to that. And we've had a great time. It's been absolutely wonderful. So I'm going to come back in here. Pancakes on the table. Really nice. Fantastic. Okay. So we've also got some local honey. This was just from the garage, the petrol station at the bottom of the road. Big jar of honey. And made by the guy in the petrol station. Here with Janey.
Hi.
There we go. Let's just see the pancakes.
Oh,
Yes, excellent. Looking forward to this. Wow. It's the first as well, eating on the show. That's lovely.
yeah, we've never actually eaten before, have we? Everyone cooks, and then we watch them cook something, and then nobody eats it.
So here we are. That's lovely. Looks really good.
Bon
Lovely.
appetit.
Bon appetit. Thank you. Thank you. And yeah, so yeah, I just wanted to introduce Janey a little bit more. So I was just I just saw Janey's CV for the first time last night, and there's a lot of stuff on there.
Yeah.
And I didn't quite know that your background was artistic as it is, and that you've done a lot of sort of studying and work in that kind of area.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about that?
I'm going to grab some knives.
Yeah. This looks so good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now we can eat.
Thank you.
Well, I can talk. You can eat. My background. I think it says something on my CV, doesn't it? Like financial systems to cupcakeries.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Starting off in finance.
In finance, yeah.
Yeah.
I started off training to be an accountant when I left school. So yeah, I moved to England and did
Scotland.
Yeah, did most of my education in England. And then to make my mum happy, I trained to be an accountant. That was for about a couple of years. I wasn't very happy when I was at college. And then I decided that I wanted to do art. I wanted to have an art career.
Okay.
I got a place at Goldsmiths in London.
Okay.
An art college.
What sort of art?
So fine art. I started off in fine art.
Okay.
And then...
Is that painting? I don't know what it is.
So fine art painting. I did a bit of textile. I did some printing. For my foundation, Pete Flowers was my foundation tutor at Blackpool. Like I've had some really great teachers, and that's kind of like linked my whole life basically in education. Like you find one really good teacher, they inspire you, and then you want to be them. So Pete Flowers at Blackpool Sixth Form, and I did my foundation for a week, where I locked myself in Blackpool College for a week, and then took a different drug every day while I did my foundation and painting. So I was a fine artist. I did loads of painting. And I went to Goldsmiths to do art history because they were my favourite 2 subjects. And then I didn't like London. I didn't really like the bourgeoisness of like the art industry. And so I came back and then kind of dropped out, spent some time abroad. And then decided to come back to it. So and then came back and then went to Manchester Uni. Did interactive arts. And I started looking at visual arts, but more thinking about animation, design, installations, thinking about how we interact with art in the world rather than on the wall. And then that took me on a journey to galleries, then curation, like putting shows together. I really like the installation part of it. So that was sort of my early life in Manchester.
Wow. So you've been always drawn to kind of theatre and like not theatre, but kind of the interaction sort of side of things and that kind of space.
People like and interactions with art and like artistic creation. All
right. And so you went to college, you went to uni in Manchester. And then what happened after that?
So what happened? I went to uni. I lived here. I lived in multiple student houses.
Loving Manchester.
So I did escape it quite a few times. I've had like living in Spain and kind of gone off for like years at a time and gone and lived somewhere else. But I was involved in events. Most of my friends were based in Manchester and my social networks. And I don't know, like traveling, festivals. I started a festival company with Leona and Jess and Micah. It was called Cafe in the Undergrowth. We did that for a couple of seasons. Really killed ourselves and each other. I had a cupcakery, the first Manchester cupcakery at Upper Space. We did Upper Space Gallery, which was like a bit of a renowned space. We were open for about 18 months. It was almost the predecessor to the Wonder Inn and I've forgotten what the gallery is on Stevenson Square that was there as well for a while. But it was kind of like, we can have a gallery. We'll just make a gallery. And so, with Johnny and Barney and Ryan, and then just building a space. And so we had a street art gallery that ran for about 2 years before it got closed down by the landlord. The rents went up in the Northern Quarter and we got bought out. And then student life, working life. I'd always done finance, like all the way through uni. I financed my university and education with finance. So I was in finance for about 8 years until my mid-20s, and I decided that I didn't want to be in that world anymore. And then I had to make my hobbyist sort of businesses into something more long term.
And what about cooking and baking and your interest in food and that side of things?
So I've also always cooked. I had a festival business. I learned cooking from my mum when we were little. We used to cook together. We still do. She's now been demoted to my sous chef. And I've always loved food. Like I said, I think it says in my CV, doesn't it, that when my intro bio about culture, and that I have the same fascination with culture in the world and people and how culture defines us and tradition and history, as I do with how culture reproduces itself in a pot. Whether that's yeast or brewing beer or making kimchi. I love the fact that something so bitter can create something so good for our system. And I feel like that about culture sometimes, that our culture, it's almost like a noose around our neck. Our traditions, they can be like an overhanging, but they define us. But yet they've got a bittersweet. They also like retain to the past and where we've come from.
I love how you do that. Like you really observe that and notice it and able to put all those sort of dots together. It's really interesting. So you had a bakery
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. So what happened? Upper Space got closed down.
Okay.
We didn't have a space. I started. I kind of. That was the start of like an interesting world. Like I got into. It's a bit off topic, but I got into the open data movement.
What is the open data?
Open data is like free data, and there's a whole movement of data art, like open data art, like visual art. So I'm trying to think. There's like a really good Google one with Google fights Yahoo, like on data stats, and they're like made into like a Tekken style video, and it was projected onto the outside of a building.
Okay.
And I saw that like that for the first time and was like, oh my god, this is amazing. So visualizing data, like data sets, like, and so when I was at Upper Space, there was always conversations. We had all these geek meetups that used to happen midweek, and I got really involved in them and really curious, and I became like a bit of an Ubuntu child, like open data, open source, like I guess in its own way, its own type of being an activist. My take on being on activism, like I didn't like the fact that big companies ruled data sets.
Okay.
They ruled the world. Yeah. And then one really personal to me was the open data mapping. So the maps, like GPS and Google, and then this fight for open street maps and the actual mapping, because maps are not free. You know, like, and people who originally did maps, people lost their lives, like off the northeast coast of Scotland, where I'm originally from.
Yeah.
People went out there mapping them waters, and it was really dangerous, but they mapped them to see where the rocks were.
Yeah. Okay.
And then OS, Audience Survey, took that data, prioritized it, and then sold it on license.
Wow. That
happened like in the last 40 years. Wow. So now everyone needs a license to be able to look at maps that was created through people wanting people to map the world. And so I just got interested in data and like thinking about things like American movements of Up My Street. How could you make council buildings better? You know, like you could report things. How do we have civic society through data? And visualizations and art. And there's a festival from Manchester called Future Everything that I was involved with for about 3 years. So while at Upper Space, this sort of happened. I met Robin Gower, who's not going to be watching this, but informatics. He lives in Berlin now with his wife. And we set up a consultancy with Ben O'Hara and another good friend of ours, Zoe, who lives in Mauritius. And it was all about looking at creative ways of using tech. And so for about 2 years, I kind of got carried away in the creative industries doing that. And we had MCC, Manchester Creative Collective, and we did loads of events. We stuck some, it's where my obsession from shipping containers came from. I put a shipping container in Piccadilly and did like a massive city conversation where we brought all of the experts in the field, loads of different subjects, to this little box in Piccadilly. We interviewed them in this round circle. Wow. Like, it's so great. Like, the best one was the head of Regen at the time. He had a broken leg and he came, and him and a flower enthusiast, the gardener from somewhere in West Didsbury, came together and they walked around Piccadilly Gardens, reimagining what it would have been like as a Victorian garden and how it might work now.
That would be nice now.
Yeah. And then I was based in Hume. That was the first time that I'd moved to Hume. Our offices were based in St. Wilf's, and I really kind of got into Hume culture and being in Hume and loving the area. Yeah.
So, and is that where the bakery was? I'm just going to close this window.
Yeah. Uprising. So food mapping, maps.
Yeah.
Food mapping.
Food mapping.
How does food get into the city? Why is it in North Manchester that some people have no access to food? You know, like, why is it ATMs charge £1.80 in North Manchester? They're free in other places. You know, like this inequality. And it comes like basic sovereignty, like you think access to food, you know, but people have access issues in a city. I worked for the Primary Care Trust for a little while. That gave me access to massive data sets, and I could start seeing like the effect of, you know, if you're brought up in like a lower working class or a non-working class family in a certain part of town, you're just not taught or access or like the availability of fruit and vegetables. That was my main thing, fruit and veg. And then I got into food mapping, I've convinced MCC, our consultancy, to do some big contracts with national charities. And then I got into the bread movement for real bread. So food activism. I don't know, I'm really passionate about it. I think most people that know me know that. I've always got something to say about a plate of food. Yeah, a lot of people. Yeah, maybe that's where it comes from. I like food to be really good.
It's important to think about that though, isn't it? And the quality of it, where it comes from, like you say, accessibility, right down to where it begins.
It's a massive part of our culture.
It's life, isn't it? We can't live without it.
And it's being messed with. And we don't really understand or see that in everyday life. And then from that, I got into real bread. Then I decided I was going to train as a baker. And then I did. I trained. And as people who know me, probably Rik actually as well. It's probably about the time that I met Rik, roughly.
He's our next guest.
He is, yeah. And I just couldn't stop talking about yeast. For about a year of my life, about 5 or 6 years ago now, I would be going out to parties in the weekend, or I'd be going to bigger parties that was organised and free parties. And my only conversation topic was bread making. That was it. That's all I had, because I was obsessed. I was every day I was making bread. And then I was like, right, I need a bakery. If I'm really going to do this, this needs to be bigger than my kitchen. I had everything in this teeny little kitchen in the flat in Hume. And I was baking stuff, and I was getting people making, and I was doing drop-offs. And then I decided I need a bakery. So I started applying for the council. Oh no, I saw it at Longford Park. They were looking at cafes and parks, and I was like, where would the most ideal bakery be? Be in a park. And so I applied for the tender for Longford Park, along with the other bakers that I was working with at the time. That's Lucy and Eamon and Jane. And we got it. And we were like, oh my God, we're doing a bakery. And so then Uprising became a thing. And it was Uprising.
I love that name.
It came from Kyle Marriott, who's another friend of ours. He said, if you're going to have a bakery, it needs to have a pun. Oh. You need to have a pun.
We've got a fly on.
Oh, no. Hello.
It's so funny.
And then I put this thing out on Facebook. And I don't know who actually, I'd have to go back and find out who gave us that name. They were like, Uprising.
Right.
Bread Uprises. And I was like, brilliant. And it completely coined where my state of mind was at the time with food.
When was that? I think I remember.
2016.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, put a shout out for names for.
Earlier than that. 2014 might have been. It's actually 2 years before that. Yeah.
Okay.
And then
choose my name.
Yeah. And Uprising was born. So then I decided to be a baker.
Right.
I still did festivals. I still did bits and pieces of other work, but slowly the consultancy dropped off. Yeah. We all moved on with our lives. We're at that stage.
Yeah.
And I moved to Longford Park and started keeping really unsociable hours in a park, making bread. And we had a wholesale bakery.
Sounds right.
We used to go around doing markets.
Wow.
We were talking about it recently, actually. We really miss it. Even in COVID times, there's something you could relate to. If you went and got your bread in the morning.
Able to do your bread, and that kind of keeping in with your tradition and the routine of the day. And brilliant. So let's talk a little bit about the Nia Centre and sort of the progression from there, from being in that space and doing that. Because I have the sense that this idea for Nia has been bubbling away in the back of your mind, perhaps even subconsciously, and then and then you saw the building. I'm really jumping forward here to like 2017. 2017.
But it started in 2012. Yeah. So the idea for
it, 2012, yeah.
Yeah, before Nia even was conceived as a building.
Okay.
This is for me. I remember when we first had Nia.
Yeah.
And we all talked about our connection with the building.
Yeah.
And so everyone's got a story. It's crazy. Everyone in our operational group and in our wider ops and wider community of Nia has a connection to that building.
Can we just say a bit about what the building is and where it is and the size of it and what it's been used for?
So NIAMOS, the Nia building, it's a Broadhead theatre built in 1903. There was a chain of theatres in the Northwest, and Broadhead, William Broadhead, we know this now, so we can talk about it. We've gone into the history. William Broadhead brought theatre to the masses. Like, so.
Okay. What sort of time year was that? 1800s?
No, 19. It was built in 1903, so 1920s.
Okay. Yeah.
1920s, 1930s. It stopped as a theatre in 1936, I think, and then it ended up being owned by James Bond's wife for a little while. He tried to keep it going.
Really?
Yeah, she lived in Cheshire, his first wife, for Roger Moore. And then it got bought by the BBC in the 50s. So it's a massive Grade 2 building, and it's got a sister theatre next to it. Like the total land mass for it is probably just short of a kilometre squared.
Right.
Like it's quite big. You know, it's next to the garden centre in Hume.
Okay.
And then it, so yeah, it came up for auction for sale in 2017. It was owned by Maryland Securities, who owned the Wonder Inn, and also owned the Opera Space. So David Jabeel owned the building.
So there's a link there with
the building,
the energy of those
landlords.
Yeah,
these landlords. Yeah, like, you know, we got thrown out on Christmas Day from Opera Space. It's changed. They changed the locks. And then Wonder Inn, Kirsty had like problems with the Wonder Inn, the same landlord, and he owned the NIA up until his property manager until 2017, and then it got sold at auction. Right. And we saw it go up, and we were just like, because we live in Hume, and I was like, oh my god, can we? Didn't, got sold. To CNR Properties, who's our local estate agent on Stretford Road, and then so we decided to rent it, and it was so funny, like, but. We kind of walked into it. There's some video of us first going in the building, and I got a whole group of people, and I had to really think about it. Like, who's going to do this? Like, who do I need to make this happen? And so I rung you. There was loads of conversations with lots of people, and we met in Eastern Block, didn't we? And that was like the core group. Yeah. And loads of people didn't know each other. Yeah. But they all had specialism. They all do now. Yeah. And that was in 2018, 2017, and 2018. And then we got the lease, which is brilliant because we got the lease in the Pyrenees. I was in the Pyrenees in Arolis, where we were yesterday. Yeah. And that was Easter in 2018. Wow. And we found out we got the deposit and we got the keys. Wow. And we were in the building. So I came back in the Pyrenees with this energy to start this. Yeah. But NIAMOS, which stands for Not in a Month for Sundays, which is now the overheading limited company that runs the building, is been in my mind for years, since like 2012. It's coined, it's a phrase. I say it all the time. I've actually stopped saying it, which is brilliant. I don't use that phrase anymore.
It's not the most optimistic phrase in the. Is it a northern phrase? Never in a month for Sundays. Yeah, it sounds like a northern thing.
Not in a month for Sundays. That's never going to happen. You'll never.
You never. Yeah.
And it was
read a positive version of that. Yeah.
But it's massively positive. It's almost like challenging somebody to do something that somebody else thinks is impossible. Yeah. You know, it's got that sort of like everything is possible. Yeah. So this building is possible, and now we're still here. You know, 2 years later. Yeah. And so now NIAMOS, Radical Arts and Cultural Centre, is this building that I've probably been gearing myself up for like the last 12 years. My mum says third time lucky. It's got to be lucky this time, hasn't it? Third time. You know, every time I kind of like do something big, I spend loads of money, you know, I'm borrowing money off my family, then it kind of goes bust, and I'm just like, oh, brilliant. Yeah, sure you don't want to be an accountant. No. And this time, hopefully, this is the one.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like it. I mean, a lot's happened in the last 2 years, and there's been different like offshoots and shoots and things that I've developed from it. Yeah. Maybe we could talk about that a little bit, and kind of who's been using the building and what's happened so far. And there's still lots of stuff unfolded and developing in there.
Loads. Yeah. So we took it on, and as a co-op, so we're a multi stakeholder cooperative, which means anyone can join, and you can be an organisation or a person or a community member or an employee. We've struggled with governance since day one.
We're getting there with it.
We're getting there. And yeah, we came together as a group. We raised money to get in. Yeah. Through everyone's efforts. Yeah. And we put on events. So we started. The building was actually in really good nick, apart from the roof. So we had roof problems. So that's kind of stupid, like some of our ideas. And we started placing people, like trying to work out what worked and what didn't work. And we knew that we wanted to open the theatre again. We knew that was going to be a long haul.
What's the capacity of the theatre?
It's 500. It's actually 700, but it's 500.
Okay.
We're capped out.
And it's still really beautiful, isn't it? It's like its original condition, and it's gorgeous inside.
Yeah. But like the basements were flooded. We had to sort out the electrics. We had to do asbestos surveys. We've done loads of joinery. We've had lots of people on our ops team and people that have volunteered their time and come in and done work. We've managed to keep it going, but we've been running events and we've been building up different areas. So with Nia means purposeful in Swahili. It comes from Pan-Africanism and it's part of 7 principles. So in them short years in the 90s, this is the bit that really I think is important to all of us, because it's only a generation before. So there's some members of NIAMOS that have lived through that generation in the Nia. And it's also the community can remember it. So I was saying the link to Bingo Jesus.
Right, okay.
Because above the Nia, there was a sign where a church and a bingo hall, and the sign basically got, I don't know, swiped over, and the sign read Bingo Jesus. And so when I first came to Hume, that was the signifier. I'll meet you at Bingo Jesus.
Yeah.
Which was actually that block. So there's a group on Facebook that Barney runs, and that's got loads of members, and people talk about so fondly about it. If you see a t-shirt or something with Bingo Jesus, you're a human, you're a Humite, you're from Hume.
Yeah.
And so that reference, this building has just got this kooky history and it's really significant. And so we've been trying to carry on that legacy in lots of ways.
Yeah.
It mixed basically theatre, straight up theatre. It mixed African theatre. A lot of the theatre of the oppressed, which is what I now study, is used in African theatre.
In Pyrenees.
Yeah. It's music. It had a club culture. It had a massive night called Prana, which when you see the pictures of it, it's just crazy. They got lights from the ceilings and lasers and 900 people in the building listening to acid house in the mid-90s. It was opened by Nina Simone in 91. All through the 90s, people played there. Bella Kuti, Ziggy Marley, loads of people. And so it was really renowned, but like all these good things, these little cultural popping bursts, they're really short. They don't last long. They're a few years in somebody's memory, and they're amazing. Yeah. So we had all that energy. Everyone had that backstory, and everyone that's in our operations team comes from that energy. That's who they are. They love to party. They love to have a really good time. We were talking about this morning, didn't we, that Manchester brings a party. Yeah. It's it's how we interact.
There's different places in the world where it's been taken.
And then talking about well-being. So when we opened the centre, it's got this real divide as well, because another fascination of mine from the art world is Japanese theatre. I'm really into Japanese design, and wabi-sabi is this aesthetic, and it's the 7 principles of art and design. And this idea of light and dark and shadow and contrast. Yeah. And that everything that we in aesthetic is this balance, this beautiful balance between light and dark. And the theatre itself is this, big dark, dark room, no windows. And then they built an extension in the 90s because it had quite a lot of money from Arts Council and European funding. And the extension of it is always
an extension.
It's an extension, yeah.
Oh, wow.
That used to be the back of the theatre back in the day, where they would have brought in. So that was literally the back of the theatre, where all the divides were. They lightened it up and turned it into offices. Oh. And so when you come in, the back of it's white, beautiful, really light.
Lots of light coming in through
yeah. So you've got this contrast of light and dark. And and I think also there's been this thing we talked about quite a bit in the living room, which is our well-being side of it.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
We can, yeah.
It's really exciting.
And you're talking about just the, wellness and health. And having this really extravagant lifestyle, or being in the creative industries or in events or production, but you wear yourself out. It's really high energy, and it's really you're always up all hours, you're not eating well, it's almost too exciting, you get carried away, still at the party 8 years later, all of these narratives. And how do you balance that with well-being and start thinking about that balance in your life? And how do you have both of them energies? Okay. So a lot of the energy around Nia was how do we balance that? How do we bring events and well-being together?
Okay, I'm just mindful. We've got some messages here.
Yeah.
But I can't read because I've not got my glasses on.
Do we should read some messages? Can I do that? I can't read it either. 1 second. We're both short-sighted. All right. Okay. So we are going to the Mayan calendar.
Okay. Great.
All right. Brilliant. Yeah, we're talking too much.
Yeah. Okay.
That's basically the messages.
That's what he's saying. All right.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go now to Kristina Batty, who's got this week's Mayan calendar update report for you. Enjoy.
Saturday, the 11th of July. So, what does the galactic energies have in store for us this week? Well, today we are on a yellow cosmic seed day, which is the 13th and the final day of the yellow human wave spell. And the yellow seed energy is all around planting the seeds of our intentions into the cosmic weaving web of reality. So it's about dropping into the dreaming and really planting seeds of what we want for ourselves, but also what we want as a collective. How can we manifest and create a more beautiful, harmonious and wonderful world? So today's a beautiful day for just setting those intentions and dropping them deep into the field. So as of tomorrow, we are going into a brand new Mayan week, but not only a brand new Mayan week, also a brand new Mayan month. So we're shifting from the White Castle of the North, which we've been in for the last 52 days, and we're moving now into the blue Castle of the West, which is the castle of transformation, the process of transforming and shifting the energies. The red always represents like initiation, the white is gaining clarity and refinement, and then that blue is the transformational energy. So these next 52 days are going to be that transforming energy. It's going to be really supporting us within ourselves, but also within our collective conscious. So we are going to move from tomorrow, we will move into the red serpent energy, and then we'll go into white mirror in 13 days, and then into blue monkey 13 days after that, and then into yellow seed and have a full wave spell of yellow seed energy at the end of this castle. So that's going to be the energy that we're going to be working with for these next 52 days, and it's really dropping into the heart of the calendar. There are 5 castles within the dream spell calendar, and this is the 3rd one, so it's right in the center of directing the energy into the heart. So the energy of the red serpent, which is where we begin in this 52-day process, is really that kundalini energy. So it's the shedding of the skins. When we think of the serpent and we think of what the serpent represents, it's that belly to the ground, really being connected to the earth, but also having the transformation of being able to shed the skins that are no longer necessary, to be able to release and allow that shedding to take place. So there could be, you may feel a calling to be more insular. It may be that you're allowing more and more of those layers to be shed, and we will be seeing this more and more throughout this process. The phrase that was, I'll just read you this because I thought it was very, very beautiful, but the phrase that was around the castle, around the blue castle of the West, was let the chaos change what we want to be transformed. And I think that is that blue energy. So expect kind of like an initiation of fire, of burning, of release and of transformation over these next 52 days. And the red serpent energy just sets perfectly up for that, of just allowing anything to be released that is ready to go, and then just surrendering into that, and knowing that underneath that scaly skin, we have fresh skin just waiting for us to see. So as with all of these processes, the energies just teach us to stand in our power and to sit within ourselves and find our center. And then just allow all that is happening around us to just wash over us, and that is where we can gain our deepest transformations. So I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful beginning of this wave spell, and I look forward to catching up with you next week to see how things have transpired over this week of Red Serpent. Enjoy. Take care. Bye-bye.
And welcome back. We're just wiping the honey off. We've just been quickly eating our pancakes. Really good, Janey. Thank you. With loads of honey on. Gorgeous. Big thank you to Kristina Batty for the Mayan calendar report. Kristina is amazing. She's going to be on the show in a couple of weeks to talk more about the Mayan calendar, how you can figure out what your own signature is, because the reports make a lot more sense when you do that. So thank you so much, Kristina. And we're back here in the Pyrenees. I'm here with my guest live in the same room as me. We're eating pancakes with honey, and here I am with Janey Riley, and we're talking about Janey and also the development of the Nia Centre. And I think we're up to like speed. Are we up to present day? Yeah, we're kind of up to present day, and like where the Nia Centre are. But we're just going to just touch on the well-being. That's what we're talking about. So this contrast between the dark and the light, and balancing the arts and that kind of lifestyle and world with well-being as well. And this is becoming like really important in our society generally. I think we've sort of seen a lot of fusion around that at the moment. Yeah. So this is happening in the Nia Centre as well. So yeah, tell us a bit about the well-being.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess under the guise of creativity, creative selves, the well-being, it's kind of transformed actually, like since when we first started with Carolina and Joe and Jojo. It was kind of started off the offshoot, I guess, of the Wonder Inn, because the Wonder Inn was this brilliant building, amazing, in the city centre. And I can say, like, me personally, I'm definitely a cynic, because if somebody had told me you're going to build some massive hippiedom in the middle of Manchester, people are going to buy into it. You know, you can have medicine circles and like, I don't know,
shamans, laughter yoga, brilliant bar,
and yoni sessions. Do you know, like if people would have gone to that, and it would have been as big as it was. But it was massive.
It was amazing, and big up to Kirsty Almeida, who did that. She brought that vision in, and it transformed a lot of things. Amazing space.
And Carolina and Joe, who helped to run it, who came to NIAMOS.
And Scooby.
And so we started with that sort of idea. You know, we're going to run stuff, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. But we had a really cold, horrible building. You know, it was the theatre, it's really cold. So, and our ideas around what that was, and our community, and what would work, and what was needed. Do you know, like, where do you start with that? Do you know, like, because if you end up just doing yoni, yoga, laughing, something mantras, then you're going to end up with a certain selection of like the community.
We really want this to be for the whole of the community.
And so we ended up in therapy and mental health. Along comes Paul Baker, and we start like talking. We went to the session, didn't we? We started thinking around. We had like the local GP surgery with Alistair. We keep name dropping, don't we? Just name dropping everyone involved in Nia. And we basically reached out, and we were like, okay, what does this community need? And where's there a waiting list? What's the GP doing? You know, like who's struggling, what the service is. And we started going out to networking and having a look. And it kind of came back, and that's where we met Paul Baker and Jan, who helped us do that. And then Niall, our favourite member, Uganda last week, was brilliant. And we looked at mental health. Do you know, like, and in the creative industries, you know, where's people's mental health at? Where's their mental well-being? And then where's their physical well-being? And then that connection between the mind, body, and soul. Do you know, like, your mind and body, and then, you know, where your soul is, and how you feel, and how that affects you and your family and your community, and, you know, the wider world. You know, like, because you're putting that manifestations and intentions out into our reality. And so the living room was born, and we kind of flipped what we thought. We kind of sacked off classes. We've got a few that has happened. I bet there's a Muay Thai session happening somewhere in the Nia this morning, and people use it. And through COVID, we've got a gym, which is up on the top floor. But the 3 rooms underneath is what we've been concentrating on, and it's taken us a really long time. And we've been supported, like we've been writing. We said it's 18 months, and we've been writing policy around it and governance and looking at safeguarding. And then COVID happened, and we were all geared up for this physical space, and One Manchester gave us some money, and we're going to launch
just about
it.
To decorate. We just picked the
swatches,
duck egg blue paint.
And it all got pulled because boom, suddenly we're in a mental health crisis, and we had to rethink. And So we decided to move everything online, and it's actually where NIATV was even born from, because without the Charmain Berry show and us and Paul and the Zoom and like getting people in Zoom rooms, we probably wouldn't have embraced it as quickly. It's like a natural thing, it's just happened. And now we're looking at how do we think about entertainment, how do we think about doing creative classes with well-being practitioners and doing it from the comfort of people's homes, and like thinking about interactive stuff, doing performances. How do we then spread well-being through into the larger community and bring in all these services that we were talking about in the first instance, but to something that makes sense to the people that are around us, or online.
And so through that process, we evolved the counselling service, and that's now online. And we kind of soft launched that
2 weeks ago,
something like that. But we just wanted to make that known to everybody that that service is there and available, and we have trained counsellors and can offer that online or over the telephone. So if you go on the NIAMOS website, there is a living room page on there.
Sorry, I'm just looking at the chat. I was coming. We're both short-sighted.
And you can self-refer through the NIAMOS living room page.
I don't know what chat means.
That means that we are now going to introduce the next guest.
Does it? Is that what it means? Does that just beep, beep, beep?
I was listening, Dee.
Yeah.
So our next guest, and Janey's going to stay with me. She's the first, it's fantastic. And when I asked Janey to suggest a musician for the interview with her today, she said Rik Warren without hesitation, and she's been in touch with him, and he's agreed to come on the show. So I'm really looking forward to this. So is Rik with us, Dee? Can he join us?
Oh, cooking.
Okay, that's a good idea.
I'll intro. You intro the cooking, I'll intro Rik.
No. No, we're going to head over to
Bex Shindler.
Bex Shindler of Mindful Kitchen, who's going to show us how to make a pad thai sauce.
So is Bex in Thailand?
Well, Bex, if you're watching, can you let us know where you are? We're wondering when you're actually in Thailand.
We'll know, because we'll know by the kitchen.
Okay, all right.
Right, let's get the video up. Let's see if she's in Thailand. She's sold everything. She's somewhere.
So I'm making a pad thai salad for my lunch. I just thought I'd show you the sauce. It's really easy. Basically, I'm just using almond butter, smooth almond butter, and some tahini and tamari and maple syrup to sweeten it a little bit, and then some sort of sour alkaline lime. And then I've also got some grated ginger and some grated garlic in there as well, just to kind of give it that pungent flavour as well. And I've just spiralised a few vegetables, so if you've got a spiraliser, then that's perfect. You can spiralise some courgette and some carrot, and then shredded some red cabbage. If you don't have a spiraliser, it's fine, because you can just use a grater or like a peeler or a mandolin or something like that to get the kind of thin vegetables. Basically, we want the sauce to sort of like penetrate the vegetables so they soften a little bit. So instead of actually cooking them, we're just kind of softening them down so they maintain all the enzymes and the nutrients of the raw vegetable. And I also chopped up some coriander and some spring onion, and a few chopped nuts, a few chopped almonds. Cashews would work well as well. So we're just going to mix stuff together. So I'm using almond butter over peanut butter, because peanuts can be quite acidic for the body, whereas almond butter is more alkaline. So basically, if our bodies are alkaline, then we're in a state of health. If our bodies are acidic, then it's more likely that disease is going to proliferate. So we want to kind of maintain that alkaline environment. So I'm going to use about 3 heaped tablespoons of almond butter. Yum. Love this stuff. And this is going to be quite a thick sauce, but that's fine, because we want it to be quite hearty. That's quite a lot, actually. Let's see how we get on with that. And then, 3 tablespoons of tahini as well. I better get another spoon. Don't want to mix that. Yeah, 3 sort of heaped tablespoons. Sesame seed paste. This stuff is just like crack. Really fatty, but really good fats. And yeah, I'm going to do 4 tablespoons of this tamari. So this is like a gluten-free soy sauce. That's going to give it a really nice salty flavour. And instead of making it 100% salty, we're going to add a little bit of sweet to it as well, because that's going to balance that salt. You'll have heard me talk about this before if you watched any of my other videos, about kind of balancing the flavours. So I'm doing 2 tablespoons of maple syrup in there. It's turning into this kind of messy, curdly thing at the moment, but we'll mix it all up and it'll be fine. And then I've got a lime here. I'm gonna go for, I'll just squeeze this half in and see how I go. I'd say sort of 2 to 3 tablespoons. Maybe I'll just put the whole lime in. To go with your intuition a little bit and test it out, taste it. Yeah, let's just do the whole lime. So lots of freshness. And then, yeah, then it's just the garlic and the ginger. That's been grated on the finest setting with the grater. And just give it a mix. If you've got a whisk, that can help just to bring it all together. It will curdle to start with, and then it will start to come together a bit more. And you want to give it a taste when you mix it all in. Just check that the flavour balance is right. You might want to add more sweet, more lime. Just have to kind of go with your taste buds. That's really nice. I'm going to add a little bit more of this lime. And remember, it's a dressing, it's a sauce, so it might be quite strong on first taste. But once you mix it all in with your salad, which is what I'm going to do in a minute, it will that flavour will kind of balance out across the salad. So that's it really. You could also add noodles in there, you could add some tofu, any other vegetables like raw cauliflower, some red pepper. Yeah, that's it really. So I hope you enjoy making that at home.
Welcome back. Thank you so much, Bex. We've sent word out to find out where you are because we suspect you're in Thailand. So get in touch, darling. Hope you're good. And welcome back, everybody. I'm still here with Janey, and we have joining us now, Rik Warren. Hi, Rik.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you. How are you?
I am very well, thank you.
Good, good.
You. And we were just chatting there, and Janey was just saying how much you're into rocks as well as your music.
Yeah.
Stones.
Backwards.
Stone. I think that's
Stop.
stone. Stone bothering, isn't it? Stones.
So I invited Rik because he's my favourite. He's gonna love this. He's gonna get embarrassed in a second, but there's a top tier. But he's my favourite music man from Manchester.
Wow.
Yeah. First time I ever saw Rik live, I cried. More for him, probably. And it was just amazing. Like, it was so intricate and amazing. And it really spoke to me. So I found out my bubble was burst actually about a year ago when somebody said, as musicians, you kind of play something and it's kind of like people, you're like a mirror, but to somebody else's thing that's going on, you know, like you're not even conscious of it. And like you have that whole teenage swooning thing, don't you? Like when you can like see something amazing and go in person and you're like, wow, they're amazing. You know, they're tuned in, they're feeling this is it. Like, wow. And I had that with like Rik, and it's that thing of somebody that can create that emotion. You know, like when you watch somebody and they can create that emotion inside you, it's like, wow, this is really speaking to me. And that's, I'm getting embarrassed now. Yeah. This is how I feel about Rik Warren's music. Wow. It really speaks to me.
That's beautiful. How does that feel, Rik? When you
feels
get that
very nice. Very nice. Thank you very much. Thank you.
That's brilliant. We're going to play a video in a little minute so people can get a taste of that. But yeah, can you tell us a little bit about your musical background? Rik, and how you sort of found music? Was that in childhood? How did that happen for you?
I think I was a kid. Started playing a bit of guitar, but I was about 17, 18 when I started playing harmonica in a little blues outfit that we had called Ernie's Rhythm Section, which was pretty good crack for a little bit. Yeah, sort of the harmonica took over, really. It was just something that I played. I was surrounded by people who were better at guitar than I was. So I just played harmonica, and then over time got into singing. Always wanted to be a singer, quite like the look, but like it took a fair while. I was a bit late to the party, a late bloomer in that respect, but sort of got there, I think.
That's lovely. That's great. Should we play a bit of the video now so people can see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be really nice if we play a little bit of video of your song. The Sky is Crying. If we can put that on, that'd be great.
Oh, transition to video.
welcome back. Wow, what a brilliant video! And thanks so much, Rik, for sharing that. We've just been chatting while the video has been on and discovered that you actually lived quite near to where we are in the Pyrenees.
We think so, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is really exciting. You know, this region where we are now, which is absolutely beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Aragon, which is gorgeous. So rocks.
Yeah, well, tell us about Aragon. As we were just talking about Hannibal and his elephants, like coming up from Portugal.
Yeah, well, that
Bronze Age?
it's the angle of the road, the ancient path is the angle of the rising sun on the summer solstice if you're in the south of Portugal. So it's like an ancient alignment. Some people call them ley lines, but it's not a ley line. Not a ley line. No, it's not a ley line. It's like a solar alignment and dotted along it. It's a pilgrimage now, so it's like, you know, like the more modern religions have sort of transplanted themselves on top of it, but it's very, very old part of the world. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it is. It's really gorgeous.
Yeah.
And I'm still trying to get my head around a little bit. So the work that you do, so you sort of study rock,
stones,
circles.
Like deliberately put there stones, like not just like pebbles.
Not geologists.
No, I can't.
Geology.
No, but I've got I'm sort of working on a project that's sequencing stone circles, so making it into like something like a musical scale, or like a arpeggiated sequence synth thing. You know, like you can, and anything that's round, you can turn it into frequency. You know, the circle of fifths. So there's loads of different ways you can apply it.
How do you do that?
Oh, well, you sort of just tell people you do it and then go, see?
Yeah. Or you go techie and out tech everyone, so they just nod and agree and go, oh yeah, brilliant.
Yeah. No, it keeps changing. The way I'm approaching it keeps changing. So like it started off by recording frequencies inside chambered tombs, which are all tuned to 110 hertz, which has a really bizarre balancing effect on your two brain sides. So, and as soon as they become into alignment together, then so I've been told, it opens your frontal one, which is your sort of dream state, sort of meditative state, and that's how it all kind of started. And then I started looking at stone circles after that. But the chambered tomb thing is fascinating, like all across Europe, Western Europe, all across the world. Like there are these, it's called archaeoacoustics, and it's the use of acoustics in 5,000 years ago, but they were pretty good at it, like terrifyingly good at it. You know, like there's on Orkney, there's a chamber tomb called Mays Howe, and that's tuned to 109 hertz. And in Anglesey, there's a little mound chamber tomb called Bryn Ceffrey D, and that's tuned to 110 hertz. And like they just, but that's in Malta, in Greece. If I could look on a map now and find out where some are near you, and you could go to them and you could sing an A and it would resonate.
Wow. We might have to do that. Maybe we get like afterwards as a show, Rik can tune us in.
So would they do that in the tombs for like healing purposes, or I'm just getting my head around
that's the idea that I prefer. Yeah, I've no idea really why they did it, but the idea that it's quite an old idea actually, that these weren't places to take the dead, they were places to exchange with the dead, and women would actually give birth in these chambers while people were singing outside or while drums were playing outside. And there's loads and loads of amazing work that's been done, especially across Europe, because it's all really well funded over there, where they're experimenting with different sounds, like groups of drummers and groups of singers, and then recording in super fine detail different elements of the interior of these monuments. So, like, yeah, fascinating. Too much to I've had too many coffees to get it all in order, but it's yeah.
I suppose, like, the way I always thought about it, or I've been told, is it's sitting with the ancestors. So, like, in the same way that gypsies go around the UK, traveling to the same campsites that they've traveled for, nearly 1,000 years, probably about 800 to 1,000 years, and sit in the same spots and light a fire and sit there and sing, and sitting with the relations, sitting with your ancestors in the same spots, and then the significance of them spots and what's built upon it and how they communicate across the realms, or
it's interesting how
festivals and events, like the celebration of it, and even like the equinoxes, so like when new birth and like different times of the year, the seasons.
Yeah.
Like, how that interacts with the brain.
Yeah, there's something that is a certain type of connectivity that I think we have been tricked out of accessing, but it's just right there. It's just right there. I mean, I would try to explain this map behind me. I don't know if you can see it.
We can't see anything, but other people can.
It's a big map.
It's a big map. Yeah.
It's a map with lines all over it, and it's that's just two monuments, and the on one side it's the sunsets, and on the other side it's the sun rises, and the way that those lines interact with each other, and where they intersect, there's another ancient site. So either it's like a sacred pool, or there's a lot of springs in it. This is just the side of Peak District, like Hayfield and Edale and stuff. Yeah, it's exciting. I wish I could explain it academically,
Rik, where is there near Manchester that people could go to experience sort of crossing of ley lines, or some little sound chambers?
It depends if you like walking or not. I think there's no chambered tombs left around here. They've all kind of been stripped of stone by stone wallers in the 17th century. But I guess Anglesey is probably the best bet, but that's not very near to Manchester. But up on top of Kinder, Kinder Scout, just above Hayfield, there's a few like awesome round barrows that are literally just mounds in the ground. They're not that exciting to experience until you look at the surrounding area, and if you get a compass and you can see where the different alignments are with the equinox in the west, say, and like summer solstice up in the northwest, you start to see other monuments on other hills and how they all connect together. And basically what I want is like a supercomputer to plot each one and line them, put because the angles change as you go north, as your latitude changes. So everyone has its own unique, what would you call it? Like a spider web of dawns and sunsets and stuff like that.
Should we create an app? You can do this. You can do the soundtrack.
Could we?
And then we'll have like a little app experience out on our smartphones, lining them up with a compass.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your music, Rik, and a bit about what you're doing at the moment, and maybe have you been recording recently? What's been happening through COVID? What's coming up?
Yeah, I've been in the studio. I've been pretty lucky. I've got surrounded by friends with fancy studios and talent dribbling off them. But yeah, I've been
buttered in it.
Just sort of like a bit of a transition, really. So, with not playing with the groups like Honey Feet, and that track, the video is me and Ellis and Phil from Honey Feet, and we go by the name of Sling. But yeah, so it's kind of like opened a world of writing up. I've started doing poetry again. Like long ago, I chopped the head off the poet inside me and left it there and walked away because I wanted to do something else. And I was sick of listening to myself. Yeah, I was 15. I was just sick of the sound of myself. I was like, right, I'm going to learn to play something. How about that? But just recently, you know, with not being able to be out live and stuff, it's like it's a massive thing that's like just kind of not there anymore. I didn't realize how much I got out of it, even if I didn't enjoy, you know, if it was a kind of like a work covers function gig, you know, like or something like that. It's like sort of miss it. So it's brought up some writing. So I've been tracking some stuff. I've been up doing a little bit with John Ellis, the legend, and
yeah, that's what he does.
it's kind of a new direction, loads of weird effects, and it's just like stuff feels like it's becoming something which is
wow,
novel for me.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting.
yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
And hopefully things will be lifting gradually now. Sort of see things. I think I saw something yesterday out of the loop with the news about how there's going to be some music allowed somewhere or some sort of live events. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, I just saw it on the.
I'll catch up next week.
Yeah, I'll have to catch
when I'm back in the country.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I don't want to play to empty car parks.
No.
I don't want to do that. I've done that enough already.
Brilliant. And you're gonna sing for us, Rik?
Yeah.
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 That's great. What are you gonna sing?
I got this this new song called Hexagon, and it's pretty new, so I might not get the chorus properly, but you know, nobody knows that, do they?
Ooh, so this is an exclusive.
and then maybe do a blues as well if there's time. I don't know how much time is there.
We'd absolutely love that.
We're on holiday.
We're on holiday. We've got time.
You are on
We're
holiday, aren't you?
Back.
Oh.
We're going to come back after Rik.
Is it?
Yeah. After he's played, so we'll speak some more then. But yeah, that'd be wonderful. If you want to sing 2 songs, that's even better. Thanks, Rik.
Yeah. Maybe we do one, we'll have then goodbyes, and then we'll have a little chin and disappear. How does that sound?
Okay. Do you want to do one and then we'll come back?
Okay.
And then we can do another
all right.
one.
It's all very technical. It's very technical.
Thank you.
Oh, here we go.
Are we good? Are we ready? Yeah.
This is the first time with electric. Here we go. Did he say he was going blues afterwards?
I'm warming up, Janey. I'm warming up.
Great.
I wait a little longer. I think I might even lock my door. Something in the water telling me I really have to go. So while I'm walking, I feel like I see what I have been. Sailing on the void now, powered by a hexagon wind. Didn't I say it would end this way? Didn't I say we'd find harm? Didn't I say we could last the day? A little high, but a little warm. A little high, but a little warm. Teddy bought a sun hat for keeping him safe in evil winds. Pulling on the hard cord of sacred fruit he'd found in tins. So once every morning, Telly would find the strength he'd need. He'd take every corner and fold it up into the breeze. Didn't I say it would end this way? Didn't I say we'd find harm? Didn't I say we could last the day? A little high, a little warm. Heart's little boulder we slowly take from this old bowl. We hadn't known just how they thought that this world was full. Oh, the footmen are storming through the gates of Vatican, sailing on the void now, powered by a hexagon within. Didn't I say it would end this way? Didn't I say we'd find harm? Didn't I say we could last the day? A little high, but a little warm.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Rik. And that kind of brings us towards the end of the show. Rik's going to play for us again in a minute, but Janey and I just wanted to say goodbye. But I'm just going to mention next week's show. We're going to have gig from the Golden Lion in Todmorden. Some of you may know. Absolutely incredible woman. She's going to be sharing her experiences of living here in the UK. And we also have Guy Barrington, a chap called Guy Barrington, who's going to be talking to us about the way of the hummingbird and some really, really interesting shamanic type kind of healing thing that's going to be like really interesting, really wonderful. We're going to have Kristina joining us as usual as well next week, and our cooking video. So before we hand back over to Rik, we just wanted to share a little story from yesterday. As we were driving from what was it called?
Trent.
We're driving through Trent.
Yeah.
And the sky turned very, very dark grey and dark, and it started to rain.
And then I saw a sign for Icules. Yeah, Icules, which is where I do theatre training. So I made Charmain drive down this road. She's like 4 kilometres in a storm. And we saw a rainbow.
And we saw a huge rainbow, and not only did we see the rainbow as we were driving down a little track, and it was absolutely pelting down in rain, and we pulled over to take pictures of the rain, and then we got out the rainbow. The end of the rainbow was landing into the road, and I've never seen anything like that, and it was very exciting. And we had a little dance around in the rain and the rainbow, and then on we went on our travels. And like, the week's been pretty much like that. It's been pretty magical, hasn't it? Yeah, I've had a really wonderful time. We've got a couple of days left now just to chill out, which is going to be fantastic.
And we were just saying that Aragon's pretty ancient, you know, like when we were growing up, books and history books and like, you know, the Middle Ages and Tolkien and, you know, the Kingdom of Aragon. And we just loved it, haven't we? Like we just came across from Leyda in the sort of East Pyrenees through to Aragon, and that's where we are at the moment. And it's just amazing that Rik lived here. So like we come on the breakfast show and we were talking about, we saw this building yesterday. It's this massive building in the Pyrenees on the top of the mountains. And as we saw our rainbow, and then we were like, yeah, this is it. This is like the most beautiful place, you know, for retreats or to kind of come away from that contrast to COVID and where we've been. You know, if you're going to be locked up anywhere, then try and find the most beautiful mountain and lock yourself there.
Great.
Yeah.
I just want to say a big thank you to you. Because I only suggested her doing this when we got here this week, and she said yeah. And I just think Janey's absolutely amazing, and I love what you've done. I love what you've done at the Nia Centre.
Oh God, I'm gonna cry. You knew you made me cry.
Just who you are generally, Janey. Unique. Very unique and amazing, and thank you so much. And thank you, this is the opportunity to do this. Thank you for thinking of NIATV. Thank you for thinking of all of it. Huge big thank you from everybody, no doubt.
Oh, well, you know, in the same vein, I couldn't have done anything. You know, like I made Manchester my home like 14 years ago. And all the people that I've met in Manchester, you know, like the born Mancunians and then the sort of honoured come to study or whatever, become Mancunians. And I'm just surrounded by the most wonderful people. Yeah. You know, like it's, yeah. It's so beautiful, isn't it, in your life when everyone you meet teaches you something, you know, like there's a lesson from everyone, and some of them sting, you know, like, and all the experiences, but just to have that much like experience and support and people around me that, you know, we can do all these wonderful things.
We can do anything.
And we can do anything. Yeah. And hopefully that's what people take from me, and hopefully that's the inspiration they take. You know, you can live many lifetimes. Yeah. You know, like there's a famous piece of Shakespeare, isn't there, about the 7 ages of man? You know, you walk on stage and you've got the 7 ages to play with in your lifetime. So, you know, live them 7 ages. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so bye from us. See everybody next week, hopefully. Thank you for joining us. And we're going to hand back over to, this is Rik.
Ooh, Rik Warren doing the blues.
What are you singing now, Rik?
I don't know. I was just going to make something up.
Great. I love that. Brilliant. How can people find you before you do that?
So I've got a Spotify thing and Bandcamp. Bandcamp's the one I think is.
Okay. I'll share it.
Yeah, we can share that. We'll find it and share it.
Yeah, I'll share it.
Socials, okay.
And
Thanks.
then, sorry, one more. It's one thing. Rik, can we do a gig at the Nia soon? Can we do let's do a big folk event. Hopefully we can have an audience, but if not, let's bring them all. We've got a big stage. Let's do some live music.
That would be amazing.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yes, please. Open some portals. Get the portal back open.
Open the portal, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, Rik. We're going to hand over to you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Oh, lots of love.
For being here. Lots of love.
Love to the family. The little ones, the new baby.
Well, I wonder if my good girl knows I'm here. Well, I wonder if my good girl knows I'm here. Now, if she do, she just don't seem to care. Oh, the sun's going to shine my back a door someday. Oh, the sun's going to shine my back a door someday. Oh, when going to rise won't blow my blues away. I ain't going down there, big road by myself. I ain't going down there, big road by myself. I can't take you with me, I won't take nobody. Don't take nobody else.